Fucking hell.
No, don't start with a swear word. Good morning, everybody. We're terribly sorry for Mark, my co-presenter and husband. No, stop. We apologise for the noise, but we have an insane neighbour.
He seems to be around us from every angle.
One neighbour is my parents, so I don't know what's going on there.
We've moved
the
from
flats
the kitchen
over there, and everyone seems to be doing their hedges.
Why is everyone doing their hedges and their lawns?
I don't know, but the fumes from the petrol
and the puppy out. Even Pepper was going,
what the hell is going on?
What is going on?
So
we're in here.
We're in here. If you're wondering if we've moved home, we haven't.
And we apologise for any of the strimmer sound in the background. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's the last Friday before Christmas.
Yeah, we hope you're having a better time than we are.
Morning, us.
Before I forget, we're going to be doing the members live tonight. It might be a bit chaotic because both the girls are out, so we have got the puppy. But we'll do some puppy time, and also you're going to help us finish the Christmas tree because we haven't finished decorating it. So there will be a members live tonight. Never fear.
And it might be a bit later, just in terms of getting Vlogmas up and all that kind of stuff.
But we are doing it. So should we have a little chat about what? Oh my God! Do you remember that wonderful comedian that I showed you the other week, talking about the soldiers doing the Trump impression? I've got him back.
Great.
I've got a lovely video of some really cute, funny kids.
Yes.
Mark's got a funny video, and we're going to intersperse today with those, so that it's not all just.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Mark, go on.
I just want to read what Reese was saying. I think you can chalk it up to collective strange behaviour, and 2025 being the year of the snake, which also means to shed and leave things that no longer serve you. Yeah, Dina sent a very sweet Instagram story saying Scorpio 2026 is going to be the year.
We've had such a hard few years.
I'm sort of like,
but thank you for that, Reese, because I can't remember whether I mentioned that yesterday on here, but we had been talking about it on Loose Women the day before about it being the year of the snake, and there's a lot of people that believe that's why this year has been so tough, and a lot of shedding going on. Does that mean there's going to be loads of divorces?
Yeah, I think I might be your skin, you could be my skin. Let's just get some really top stuff done before that happens. Christopher Cundall says that Trump's doing another address tonight to the nation. Do you think that's because he said absolutely nothing in his last one, apart from being clearly furious?
Well, I listened to The Rest is Politics US last night, Katty Kay and Anthony Scaramucci, who of course knows Trump very well. And they all have their people in the White House. And apparently he was raging about the Vanity Fair, raging. And Anthony Scaramucci thinks that people are going to be sacked.
Yeah, but who's he going to replace them with?
Well, that I don't know, because I fell asleep because I listened to this as I was dropping off. But they said, that's why he came so furious to that speech. And Katty Kay was actually saying he could have made that speech so much better, but he could have said, things are a bit tough, but watch out, the tariffs could pay off, but because I couldn't bear to watch it, Esther, I couldn't bear to watch it.
Well, interestingly,
apparently it was awful.
No, well, and also he didn't really say anything of any note whatsoever. It was like a written email sped up and angrily delivered.
Well, Scaramucci said he would have been given what to say, and because he was so furious, like apparently he said your meds are now 600% cheaper.
Right.
And Katty Kay was saying, well, if they're 600% cheaper, does that mean we're going to get money back? Because how can they be 600%? He goes, he will have been told. He will have been said, you can't say that. He goes, but I'm going to say it.
Yes.
Because he was taking out his rage on everybody.
I mean, don't forget,
on the American.
I mean, don't forget, a small tranche of further Epstein photos were released last night. Very, very boring. I mean, I'm not suggesting one wants them not to be boring, but they were kind of nothing surprising. It was Woody Allen at a desk. It was Bill Gates. It was very disappointingly Noam Chomsky keeps popping up. And so there was not much there. And I think people got a bit confused thinking, is this it? Is this the release of the Epstein files? That's still to come today, theoretically. It does seem
felt like a teaser of them.
It does seem coincidental, though, that he's giving us another speech. Maybe he kind of thought that was going to do the job. It so clearly didn't do the job 2 nights ago, and now he's just got to have another crack at it. Or maybe he's going to pretend the interstellar object's going to hit Earth. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. Half the photos will be photos that are online anyway from the past, says YouTube. I think we need to I think we need to manage our expectations around.
I don't really want to see any more photos.
No,
I want to see. I want to know.
Names.
I want to know what the women want to be said. That's all I'm bothered about. There's been so much foo-far around this. At the end of the day, there are hundreds and hundreds of victims, and they very clearly have said that they want whatever it is they want released. That's what I want. That's all I want at this point. I want them to be satisfied with what he said.
Absolutely. And Christopher Cundall says apparently he got really angry when they said it's only 15 minutes. And when they started the countdown, he started yelling more.
Really?
I mean, like, you know, like when you get an Oscar, they do the countdown for your acceptance speech. I think he probably had someone off camera going like that. Yeah. And nobody does. Nobody does.
Scaramucci was saying something about once when Trump had gone out and he'd said to them, say it's 70%. You know, I'm massively paraphrasing it. And then he came back and he'd said 96%. Scaramucci said to him, "Why did you say 96%?" He's 96% sounds better. He goes, "Yeah, but that's not what it is."
That's not what it is.
And he would know, but everything is what it is. If you say it enough times, that's what he said. You just keep saying it.
Kathy Lett posted this. There's Rob Reiner's star in Hollywood, and there's Donald Trump's beneath it. That looks like it's been,
my God,
attacked with a.
Oh my God.
With a sledgehammer.
Well, there'll be cameras on that.
Yeah.
He will not rest until that
Surely
person is
he'll
found.
Get someone to get
my God.
the perpetrator of that. And if you're ever in the middle of sort of a dream and this pops up, wake up.
I'm going to say something quite controversial.
Oh, okay, go on then. This is a photograph of Caroline Levitt.
I adore this photo. I adore it.
Right.
I've looked at it so many times.
Right, it's an incredible photo.
I am a big fan of portrait photography. I don't really know why. I don't know much about anything, but some photos just make me. And it's not that I'm going, oh, that's Caroline Levitt and she's a bitch and I can see the injection. It's just, it's like those photos you see from the like 60s and the 50s, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, it's so hyper real. I also think she looks absolutely beautiful. I think it's a stunning photo. Everyone keeps saying she looks ugly. She looks like, I think part of what I find so scary about Caroline Levitt is just how sort of Dolly Bird beautiful she is.
I think, can I say what I think is clever about the portrait? Because I think ostensibly you're right. She's striking and it's beautiful, but I think it goes back to this thing that you've often said. If you have a not very pleasant heart, it begins to be reflected through your face. And I suppose because we know her person, well, I don't know. I disagree.
Well,
I don't look at that and think, oh, wow, attractive. I think stern, harsh. And obviously much is being made of the lack of the foundation that hasn't been rubbed into her nose.
Well, see, I love all that.
And what can I just ask, what are the dots?
Well, people are saying that they're injections to plump up the
but they don't look that
lips.
Plump. I've seen those coloured, that sort of discoloration on a lot of people's lips.
I think it could be freckles. I mean, I don't know. That's what people are saying. But people aren't saying she looks big. People are saying that she looks so ugly and he's been so brutal.
Right.
What I find, if I was Caroline, but of course she wouldn't know this because she doesn't have a heart, I would be saying, look how kind. Her eyes.
I don't think they do. I think they look dead. I think she looks utterly brutal, ruthless.
No, not kind.
Ruthless.
I think she looks benign.
I don't. I think she looks cocksure and certain of herself.
Funny, isn't it?
Isn't that interesting, though?
Well, art each person's individual.
Can I just ask anyone whether you feel that's it's a curious use of language, but I want to ask, is that an unfair photo or is it merely an honest photo? I mean, I suppose you would argue it's a really flattering photo.
You see, if you'd taken that photo of me, but you see, I'm not scared of flaws. I mean, you know, you can see me looking $1 million one day when I've got great lighting and I've had 2 hours in hair and makeup and I can look amazing. And then I can look really rough, like we all can. So I'm not frightened of flaws. I think it's exhausting to just only want to be seen in one way. So I suppose a lot of people that are saying that's cruel are only looking to see. I'm not seeing any. I mean, you just said about the foundation. I went, oh yeah, there is foundation around her eyes, but
no. So I think there are two different things here. There's a response to the photograph, and then there's a discussion to be had about the intention of the photographer. And in this modern age where photoshopping, correction is done even at the lowest of levels, Some are saying that's why it's kind of a cruel image, because it's all blemishes and everything. And I just, a number of comments coming through here are really interesting. Farida, an iconic photo. She does look beautiful.
It's iconic. Absolutely iconic. That will go down in history, that photo. Marat's bathwater,
she is fascist Barbie, but let's face it, she is quite attractive.
I think that's what makes her more chilling. I really do.
Desbiz, he led them bare, even laid them bare, even the shadowy images in the background of one picture. I don't trust her, says Russ.
Nobody does.
Critics have called the photo unkind. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm nudging at. Passive
so
aggressive.
Many people are saying it's unkind.
Reese, backstabber energy.
Didn't the photographer say to you? Didn't you read somewhere the photographer said, "I don't understand. I just took what I saw."
Well, the Vanity Fair photographer, actually Christopher Anderson, has defended his close-ups, especially of the White House press secretary. He said, let me just find what he said. Can't find what he said. I didn't put the injection sites on her. People seem to be shocked that I didn't use Photoshop to retouch out her blemishes and her injection marks. So he names them as that. I find it shocking that someone would expect me to retouch out those things. That's the makeup that she puts on. Those are the injections she gave herself. If they show up in a photo, what do you want me to say?
This is true photography, okay? Because we've lost sight. And I know I drive all my family mad, my friends, when they say, "Oh, you know, let me have a look. Oh, I look awful in that photo." I get so angry. I'm just like, everyone's laughing. We just had a great time.
Yeah.
And when people say to me, "Oh, is it all right if I put this photo up?" I just say, yeah, I don't even look at it. I never zero in, because that's madness.
Yes.
And I love that he's made this statement. I've just photographed what I saw.
Yeah. Which is a very, but
I think
knowing the world of photography, though I mean, MeTube says they asked for authentic, honest, non-altered, sort of almost brutalist in their reality kind of photographs.
Have they said they hate the photos?
I don't really know. I don't think
I mean, the thing
really
is, we mustn't get too distracted by the photos, because it's what was said, of course, which was that he's...
No, but I think the photos are significant, because in this social media age, their photos, especially the one of Marco Rubio, I did show all of them earlier in the week when the Vanity Fair article came out. And Marco Rubio shows a face with real kind of, blemishes and moles and marks and what have you. And like you, I'm a huge fan of the authentic, if you like, fissures and granular aspect of a face. They're fabulous things to photograph. They become, you can read so many stories into these faces. So on the one hand, you could argue that if they did ask for this, it's an incredibly bold, surprisingly sort of authentic move by an administration that is dedicated to the promotion of fake news, which is the part of it all that I can't quite comprehend.
Maybe we should start something trending on Instagram. Just take a really close-up, honest photo of yourself. Guess what? The world won't stop turning.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. If somebody sees a wrinkle or a bit of foundation caught in the corner of your eye. I mean, it's a bit kebab. It's like when you go in a kebab shop, everything suddenly becomes real, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then when you get used to it, suddenly everyone looks attractive.
Did
you notice that, though? If you're in a kebab shop for long enough
and you're pissed enough.
Yeah, exactly. You're hungry enough. Everyone looks everything.
That was really interesting. Great. Somebody there said, I have had to get used to not seeing myself because I'm blind. And AI descriptions, I can't see it, so I'm paraphrasing, I can't see your name. So, and AI descriptions are so brutal.
Wow, okay.
Well, of course, because the AI description will not have a soul when it describes you. So I get that, because they're just going to say, oh, there's a bit of bogey in your right eye, there's a frown. And that's what I'm always trying to say to the girls. What was the feeling when the photo was taken? How did you feel? Now, I would hate a photo if I look really miserable and depressed and broken.
Yes.
Because why would I want to share that?
It's a shame though, isn't it? Because when you're someone like me who hates one's smile, then you just don't want to be photographed caught sort of candidly having fun.
And yet I love your smile and I love your teeth.
I know.
So
I know. It's weird, isn't it?
It's madness.
Tanya Bartlett, I hate looking at photos of myself. All I see is old wrinkles and nose that's wonky after being broken and an old person.
Well, Tanya, just try to see something else.
Yeah.
Just try really hard. Imagine that when you're looking at that photo, it's somebody that you really love. A mother, a sister, an auntie, a friend, a daughter. I don't know. I don't know what relation. And then describe that face back to them, and you will be kind, and then honestly You will start bit by bit. The kinder we get to ourselves, the better we feel.
Would there be?
And you have to start off by pretending you're somebody else.
Would there be open revolt at Loose Women if all the female presenters were asked to just come on completely blemish?
Well, I've done it.
No, I know you have. That's why I'm asking. Would there be open revolt elsewhere?
But lots of people don't like it.
No, people feel vulnerable.
And the reason that they give is that we are constantly asking women to be this way or that way, which I do get.
Absolutely.
I do get.
I think, you know what, I don't get into this thing of if you're not willing to go out in public without makeup, you must be. It's totally up to you. It's like wearing a hat. It's like wearing a certain top because you don't want to show your rolls. We're all doing stuff to slightly protect ourselves.
Sitting up straight.
All those things. Yeah. Good conversation.
Well, that was longer than we thought.
Yeah, it was. It was just a kind of sidebar. Okay, well, let's get to something really crunchingly awful and serious. Let's talk about Globalise the Intifada, and then we'll talk about the angle to the Rob Reiner death is violent children. And when we get to that, I want to remind ourselves and the community of a comment that came in on the day or the morning after Rob Reiner tragically died, where someone in this chat room talked about the blame, inferring the blame was sat at the parents' feet. So I want to talk about that. But Globalise the Intifada, there's a phrase. If I say, or if you hear someone chanting Globalise the Intifada, do you automatically feel or assume that that is anti-Semitic? Because Starmer does, the government does, the chief commissioner, whatever the commissioner of the Metropolitan Police does, Mark Rowley, he does, various police forces across the country are wanting to enact a ban and to arrest people who say Globalise the Intifada. I just want to get a sense of what you think of it. Is it stronger than, say, from the river to the sea?
Well, first of all, what do people understand it to mean?
Exactly.
What do you think it means?
Because I have a definition here. Though again, even with definitions, you know, language is political. And when you get to dictionaries like Bibles, it depends who's written the dictionary. It depends, you know, just the slightest emphasis in the definition of a word can change the meaning of it. It's the connotation of intifada, YouTube says, even though it just means resistance. What is the, okay, that, I'm pleased you say that. What is the connotation of intifada? Why is there any connotation to the word intifada?
Can I explain what I understand it to be, but I'm now cautious to say it because of what it's twisted to be, right? So there has been an ongoing genocide for the last 2 years, and there is no ceasefire, okay? And the suffering is beyond imagination. Please stay engaged with what is going on in Palestine, right? For 76 years, there has been an occupation, right, in Palestine. There's been an occupation. I've never actually said Globalise Intifada. Years ago, I was actually in a play called the Intifada. So I've never said it. I've never chanted it. I've never written it. But when I've spoken on Instagram about the horror story, the ongoing horror story, I am asking the world, because that's what whoever sees me across the world, whether it's 1 or 1,000, whatever, to think about that suffering, right? And that's what it means to me. Let this go around the world that there is an occupation in Israel. It never has meant a thing to me about Jewish people across the world. It never entered my head. It's never entered my head. It's the resistance to the occupation. Yes. Now, of course, the word even resistance has been warped into only meaning if a terrorist is the only people that can resist.
Or all resistance fighters are terrorists.
We are resisting what the Israeli government are doing, not Jewish people. And that, for me, is where it's all got fucked up. I would like when, say, for instance, the Maccabi fans, the Israeli football team, screamed FUCK the Arabs, and there are no schools left for your children because we burnt them all down. That's very clear to me. That's very aggressive. That's very, and yet there was protection of that. Yes. And you know that over the last 2 years, practically every politician at some point has tried to say that the marches against genocide have been hate marches and terrorist marches. They're not. They're just not. And they're just moving it out. They're just moving it out. And they want us to just all quieten down about what's going on. And I see this as the next step.
Yeah, my worry. Yeah, I mean, I totally.
Do you agree?
I totally agree with everything you're saying. I mean, I think my issue with the word, and I think what was interesting about what MeTube said there was, I have a real worry that anything that sounds Arabic,
yes.
We live in a culture and we live in a system that is so Islamophobic, so profoundly anti-Arab, so misunderstanding of any other system, religion, people that isn't most like a white supremacist imperialist origin story for like the West and Israel. Let's face it, most people in Israel who set up Israel came from Europe. You know, it's so embedded in us that we have almost no capacity to extract ourselves from ourselves, to look back and go, oh, so let me use the example yet again, years and years ago. And for many, you know, if you say the name of an Arabic news channel, Al Jazeera, sometimes people still duck because of the word Al Jazeera,
and people gasp.
Yeah. So it's like, I have a worry that it's the embedded anti-Arab Islamophobia that we all have in our culture is so endemic, it's so deeply baked into us, that when you hear the word Intifada, you think this is, as my nan would say, it's crazy people slapping their heads with things wrapped around their heads, running around doing, I mean, and she was just...
So she's talking about Shiite Muslims.
Yeah, she was a craven, she was incredibly racist. So you hear the word Intifada and people don't bother to dig into the origins of anything other than what suits the narrative they want to understand, suits the narrative of the West. And I think, you know, even there will be some people who think the word Intifada is so awful, but they just don't actually have an understanding of it. And it speaks to a little bit of what you were saying yesterday about that guy on LBC, I forget his name, Tom Swarbrick it was. Who,
Ben Kentish.
Or Ben, I think it might have been, yeah. But you know, the idea that when they don't really know the finer details of something, it's a case of let's skip over it and just condemn it because it sounds awful. Now, let me just give you this. This is as neutral a definition as I could find of it, because interestingly, go onto Google, go in the search engines and look up the definition of the word Intifada. And I'm not saying this has happened for a reason, but the first 10 entries on a Google search, you're going to be fascinated by this. The definitions of Intifada are made by groups that are fighting anti-Semitism.
Right.
So they're kind of principally Jewish orientated groups, which, okay, that's, you know, everyone's entitled obviously to their opinion on the word, but isn't it interesting that when you go to search the term, the first 10 you're fed, and very few people go beyond that first page, are fed to you through the lens of a potentially, not all, potentially sympathetic to Israel understanding of the word. Well, this is the first one I could find that I think comes close to it. Intifada, Arabic, Romanized origin, is an Arabic word for a rebellion or uprising or a resistance movement.
It
can also be used to refer to a civilian uprising against oppression.
It also can mean to shake off. Yeah, to sort of like.
Now, so just as a final pause, because I've got a couple of clips I want to play you. One is a demonstrator remonstrating with a police officer about arresting people for saying the term global intifada. I think okay, so intifada is one thing. When you get to global intifada, then there's potential, is there, for someone to argue, as, usual suspects, as Danny Cohen has in the Telegraph, chanting Globalise the Intifada leads to Bondi Beach, says Danny Cohen.
Oh, good God.
He says, Danny Cohen, advocate for Israel, and he fights against the spread of anti-Semitism, but also forever and a day is conflating anti-Israel feelings with anti-Semitism. It's
two different things.
It's a classic it's a trope. It's becoming a trope. Chanting, we need our leaders to understand that the demonization of Israel leads to violence suffered by Jews living thousands of miles from Gaza. Can I just quickly say on that note, before we get to Globalise the Intifada, we need our leaders to understand that the demonization of Israel leads to violence suffered by Jews. He's not wrong, but the demonization of Israel
has been
happening
carried out
by Israel.
By Netanyahu and his government and his illegal settlers.
So I would sit opposite Danny Cohen at a table and I'd say, you're absolutely right. We need our leaders to understand that the demonization of Israel does lead to violence suffered by Jews living thousands of miles away. But that's because of the demonic behaviors of Netanyahu and the Israeli government. And sadly, the vast majority of Israeli society, because we can sugarcoat this as much as we want and pretend that they're the exception. They're not. They're not. Look at most of the polls coming out of Israel. The attitude towards the Palestinians and Arabs, it is profoundly anti-Arab. It's profoundly Islamophobic. And because they have a sanctioned army dedicated to committing a genocide, no one is entitled to call anyone who kills a Palestinian a terrorist.
Yeah, the polls massively lean towards saying that all Palestinians should be wiped out.
So to globalize the Intifada, I think where I just like sometimes like a teacher, I like to go in microscopically. So, okay, let's say we'll globalize the Intifada. I understand Intifada if you're fighting the oppressors, if you're fighting your neighbors who are Israel, if you're fighting not your neighbors, they own your land, they've taken your business. The Intifada is shaking free, trying to rebel, trying to fight the oppressor. Globalize means globalize that fight so that everyone is in agreement that the occupying force shouldn't be doing what they're doing. It's very simple. It's very simple.
There's a genocide. There's a genocide, ongoing genocide. Should the world not be involved in that and have their say?
So Jewish Voice for Peace posted this: Intifada equals uprising. This is Jewish Voice for Peace. And they say, Intifada is a word used by Palestinians to describe uprisings or protests against decades of Israel's brutal oppression, literally meaning to shake off. The word has been used to describe moments in history when Palestinians have come together to demand an end to Israel's violent military occupation and racist apartheid. So, and it goes on. But, you know, it's shaking off. It's to globalize the fight is like the flotillas. It's getting everyone behind the Palestinians. It doesn't mean kill every Jewish person on the planet. It just doesn't mean that. But you will have nut jobs who want to kill Jewish people. You've got nut jobs killing Palestinian people.
It's so unutterably frustrating when we're seeing graves where people have been piled up on top of each other, where we've got doctors still now constantly trying to make the world understand what is going on, what has gone on, when we've got so many health workers, doctors, charity workers, children in prison in Israel now without charges, being tortured, being starved. And yet our governments are so incensed by these two words, incensed, doing interviews everywhere.
They're just all
making their voices heard everywhere. What about what has been going on for the last 2 years, never mind the last 76? What about that? Is there any outrage about that? Because I've not heard anything. Distraction, pathetic distraction.
I tell you what's awful about it as well is what's happening on an almost day-by-day basis is they're a little bit like the scrimmer in the background. They're just scrimming. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. Every single week, there is a new erosion of what you're allowed to say, what you're allowed to do, what you can say, what you can't do. And it just, you know, with each little chipping away at it, the rights and the ability to actually protest a genocide, there is still an uncomfortable silence. Like it's the elephant in the room that no one in the West will talk about, that a genocide has been committed, recognized by genocide experts, the UN, even the ICC rejected Israel's appeals to chuck out the arrest warrants, to chuck out the inquiry into plausible genocide. I mean, the ICC is next to fucking useless. It takes so long. It's been compromised. No one listens to it. But
only people aren't listening to it because the big boys went shush.
Yeah, but everyone in the West keeps using it, saying, well, only when the ICC, you know, that's what Starmer says. Only when, they'll never get to the point.
But you didn't want to listen to the ICC when they were putting out arrest warrants, did you?
Here's some footage from...
what's that one? We are analysing, because that's exactly what I think. Shilly T3, we are analysing a phrase instead of the literal genocide and massacre of almost 700,000 people. How have we ended up here? Words mean more than criminal, horrific actions. Exactly. perfectly put.
And YouTube says they want people to get hung up on definitions.
Of course they do.
Don't fall for it. So don't fall. But if you're faced with the potential for arrest, it's a real issue.
How many more things are they going to start like putting out that we're going to be arrested?
Exactly.
I mean, so far the police have refused.
Well, some.
But now they're considering. They're looking back again. And Jess Phillips, Jess Phillips, what a fucking disappointment you are. Oh my God. Jess Phillips thinks this is the absolutely right thing. It's totally unacceptable to globalise Intifada.
I hate the way these. Here's
Jess
the
Phillips,
problem.
is it only white women that you're worried about? Do you know what women are going through? Have you got any idea what women are going through in Palestine?
The thing that really frustrates me about these Labour politicians, who should know better, that we thought had a kind of nuance and an understanding, they are so I hate to use the word, it's a simple word. They're actually crassly stupid when it comes to the complexities of this. They are all incapable via their student union elevation through various fucking Labour Party groups. They are incapable of understanding the cultural nuance, the history, and they stand there spouting out this kind of
angry, not upset. Remember, what's the great line from Starmer? It's okay to turn the water off.
So here we go. Here's some interesting footage on a recent protest.
To say the word Intifada in the context that you said, yes. So I can't discuss it with you because she's an adult, so I can't discuss why she's with us. So.
But am I allowed to say the word Intifada?
I wouldn't.
Oh, even though it means to shake off the chains. Sir, please, is it an arrestable offence to say the word Intifada?
In the context of how she said it, what's going on, yes.
So if I just randomly said the word Intifada, would I get arrested?
It's in the context, sir.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. If you're discussing something that's different,
all right.
in the climate, what's going on and what's been said and how it's been said and the reason why it's been said.
So is the chant "Long live the Intifada" an arrestable offence? And why?
Why?
Yes.
I'm not going to get into discussion with you now, sir, because I'm dealing with this incident here.
I understand.
Yeah, and we need to leave it. So I'm just explaining to you that what she's committed is an offence.
But given that the word means to shake off the chains and it was used to describe the Jewish uprising against Nazi Germany.
Watch your backs, please, guys.
But you're not getting into why it's an arrestable offence, but you're arresting an elderly disabled woman.
It means to shake off the chains of oppression. How is that an arrestable offence?
I mean, what that speaks to, that police officer there, he is an articulation. It's not his fault.
No.
He's an articulation.
Of how ridiculous it is.
But he's also an articulation of the politicians enacting this.
Yeah.
They don't know. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know the meaning of the word.
But you know what? Every time they make these ludicrous statements, I think they galvanise people who are horrified by what's going on. You know, don't say we can't speak up against a horror story that we've seen live streamed. We know it's happening. You know, you can't cover this one up by telling people not to feel or not to speak or taking out this word or that slogan. That's not going to get you out of this. We know what's happened, and we know that so many of you are culpable.
Can I just want to share this thought, because I think Bonnie Delaney makes a really important observation. Context is fair. Absolutely. Look, this isn't to say.
But how is a policeman supposed to decide?
Yeah, but this
context?
isn't to say that someone who is say the Bondi Beach shooter was screaming globalize the Intifada, then you would know it was being used in an it was being harnessed and used in an anti-Semitic fashion. But there are lots and lots of phrases, there are lots of accusations, there are lots of words that in and of themselves are wrong. But it is all about intention. And like someone just said, we're getting our knickers in a twist about the intention behind a word that is essentially being used to generate support for a movement, for a people, for a country, for
world. Have a look.
Yeah, for
world.
A religion. Yeah, exactly. It's trying to mobilize everyone behind this. We're getting our knickers in a twist about the meaning of that word, but everyone's still disputing the genocide. Everyone's still in the West refusing to get on board with this other word.
It's just unbelievable. It's
the power of words, the meaninglessness of words.
Anyway, let's have a little break.
Let's just have a moment of joy. The Bondi Beach hero. This is a moment where the check, which again, I think like Nadia said, it's a shame that it comes back to money, but this is the moment he received a check from people who'd raised money for him in the aftermath of the Bondi Beach shooting. And if you've seen the footage, this is the guy who obviously grabbed one of the shooters, the father, I think, got the gun off him. Incredibly brave. But this is the moment.
Hopefully put it against the tree, which made me cry.
How are you?
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Good to see you, my friend.
Can I give you a hug?
Of course, my friend.
Love you.
I love this guy. He's amazing.
Thank you for everything. You're being an absolute hero. 43,000 people.
Thank you very much.
They raised you $2.5 million.
I deserve it.
Every penny.
My master. Thank you very much. To each other, all a human being, and forget, put everything back behind the back and keep going to save life.
Just don't tell Netanyahu is he Syrian? I think he's Syrian Muslim. I think.
Ahmed Al-Han.
I think.
Yeah, Syrian, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how the heroism of a Muslim isn't front and center, rather than the globalized Intifada is trying. Let's find a way of making that anti-Semitic.
No, because they don't want to bring people together. They want to divide. It's the easiest, cheapest way to rule is by division.
Do you want a funny?
Yeah.
Shall we have your lovely chap Godfrey?
Oh, Godfrey! I hope you're all following him. It's bloody
Black Santa Claus, isn't that terrific? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Wow, a black Santa Claus. They have white ones. I've seen them. But now they have black Santa Clauses. This is great. I love it. I can't believe Christmas has DEI now. DEI, can you believe it? I thought we canceled DEI, but we can't even have a white Christmas. It's not a white Christmas anymore if there's a black Santa Claus. Can you believe it? Look at that. I know he can't wait to get his ho-ho-hos. I'm not racist. I'm one of the least racist people, but I can't believe it. Wow, Santa Claus might be coming to your town, but I don't know what neighborhood he's going to be in. That's fantastic. It's beautiful. Look at that skin. It's so great. The coat looks amazing. But I just want to let you know your toys are going to be kind of late. They're going to be late.
He's so
I think
funny.
Godfrey comic. Do you remember I played one of his a few weeks ago when he had the black soldiers.
Absolutely. Let's stick with
He's
a kind
genius.
of a funny. Let's have your kids. This is a funny compilation of children. Check this out. Stephen Miller. Let's have Stephen Miller. Oh,
Really? Oh.
Oh, shit.
Oh. I thought that was a saucepan.
That laugh.
Oh, me.
More than that. He's laughing.
God damn. You okay?
Oh my God, that's
reminded me of Pepper. Actually, Pepper's so like that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Everything she looks at you like, how did that happen?
Wow.
How did that happen?
Okay. I'm going to show you a clip, an interview with Rob Reiner and his son Nick Reiner. Obviously, the tragic story this week: Rob Reiner, director, and his wife allegedly killed by their son, who's been arrested and charged with their murder. And we just wanted to talk a little bit more about how does one deal with how does one feel about violent children? Violence from children towards parents is a thing. I think you're right. I think we talked about it last year. We have talked about it on Coffee Moaning before. And it was interesting. I'm going to just give this context because you weren't here for this live, but in the live earlier in the week, someone said, well, it was quite an arched comment and there was clear judgment in it. It was like, well, I'd like to know what kind of parents they were for him to do this, almost kind of suggesting that for anyone to do something this bad, the parents must be responsible for the breakdown in that person's personality, mental health, state of mind, etc. I'm just going to lead with this clip because it's chilling and it's just interesting to watch.
Fiery to me. You seem like you
crazy. I get crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to set me off.
Yeah. Were you ever worried that that Nick could shine poorly on your career or something like that?
No. That never crossed my mind. I mean, you know, he's my son. I love him. It doesn't matter. He's more important than anything that could happen.
For me, the part of that interview that I thought was most revealing, almost caught me in the chest, was the nervous laugh Rob Reiner gave off the back of his son admitting his temper, because I felt in that the multitude of eggshells that, as a family, theoretically, he'd been into rehab 17, 18 times. And we're not going to talk solely about his case. We won't know. I'm sure stuff is going to come out. I'm intrigued to know whether his defense are going to somehow, they can't legitimize killing anyone, no, but they're going to try and obviously mount some kind of rationale for why he was in this sort of frame of mind.
there was a video that popped up today on Instagram. Quite angry this young man was. His family are very high up in Hollywood as well. Yeah. He said, I've had a very, very similar life to him. And he said, you know, this has impacted massively on my family because they're friends of the Reiners. Right. And he said, I've been a useless waste of space like him. I was lucky enough. I had mental health stuff, but my family couldn't have done more for me. They sent me to rehab so many times. I could have easily ended up hurting somebody or hurting myself. Yes. He said, but at a point, I took responsibility for myself. Yeah. And, you know, he got sober and he did all that. So he said, you cannot just keep saying this wasn't his fault because of his addiction and because of his mental health.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to say, even in this story, because I think this is something that's being lost. He hasn't himself expressed dissatisfaction, fury or resentment of his parents as a reason for this happening. It's not like he posted things previously.
He says, I'm just crazy. I mean, there's an article today with close family friends just saying what an amazing family they were and how right from 10, 11 years old, he started to show the signs, you know, and would have terrible tantrums. And apparently Rob was very, very, he felt very sorry for his son because he thought he had mental health stuff. So would baby him in a way that he didn't, the other two. And actually, I know a family like that where one of the daughters was totally spoiled. I'm taking it away now because I don't know about this family, but there was something in that reminded me of somebody that we know and I totally understood why the mum and dad did it. They were harsher with their son than they were with their daughter because he didn't appear to have any mental health stuff. So they were very much, you know, stand up, look after yourself. But Molly coddled the one more with mental health. And she too had terrible rages, tantrums from like 8 years old. Anyway, addiction came and blah, blah, blah. And it just made me think again. And I know that there's such loving parents. And that's what we wanted to talk about really is not the parents that do it wrong, not the parents that may be domestically violent or neglectful, but for the parents that are just caught up in the horrible cycle of loving their child, seeing their child in a mess, trying to put boundaries in, and then that child walking all over them. And, you know, just how that can escalate. And it's funny, actually, one of our girls was saying, God, I've become so obsessed with this story, Mum, because I'm just thinking, imagine being terrified of your own child. And
but you know, but the interesting thing is, I think it's such there's so many different aspects to something like this. I mean, you know, at what point, for example, you know, most people not most, but, you know, lots of people who have mental health conditions, it's been proven scientifically, medically, that, you know, trauma or experience or lack of nurture or over nurturing or whatever your nurture was, can form and create mental health conditions like things like bipolar, ADHD, you know.
But also you can just have them.
And also you can just have them too. And there's forever and a day that question of at what point is a parent entirely responsible for the makeup of someone beneath the age of 18, we always see that as the point of responsibility. Why is it that we have to have legally, administratively, a tipping point, and it's 18 principally, isn't it? That suddenly someone has to kind of phone. I mean, I always remember the girl saying, "I've got to phone the doctor myself now." It's like, yeah, you're on your own with the doctors. You know, but if a parent is entirely responsible for so many aspects of a young adult and a child up to the age of 18, on the one hand, it has to pivot to the child as they become an adult, but you can't just remove everything that's gone before and pretend it hasn't contributed to the person they are. I think the one fact in this that we know is any violence or killing of parents is wrong. However dark and twisted you've got to in your resentment.
This is what this young guy was saying.
Yeah, your resentment, you know, wherever you get to, that's the line. That is a line that you just do not cross.
But what I'm interested in is, like, we know
James
there are bad
Flanagan
parents.
says it's all too common here, over here in Ireland. It rips communities
it's a huge problem
to
with
pieces.
domestic, but also, James, because I was in Ireland recently with our domestic violence campaign with Loose Women, and talking to the refuge women there about just how much further behind they are in Ireland with domestic abuse. So young kids are growing up. So this may be,
so sorry.
Yeah, young kids growing up around that. They were talking to me about this, the women from refuge. But aside of that, those people that have just done everything for their child, that's what I'm interested in, because I think it must be so lonely, because you know that you're going to get all that judgment. Oh, well, what was going on in the home, and were they neglected, and were you beating up your wife? Well, no, that is not always the case. Often people have been like this family that I know, that were incredibly kind and lovely to their daughter, and their daughter would get violent with them, you know, slapping. And I've seen some videos on Instagram where people post, I think, why have you posted that? With their daughters just going totally crazy at their parents. And I think it must be so lonely, because there must be the fear of talking about it.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Absolutely.
So much judgment around it.
Jambalin, the daughter that found them, I can't imagine what that lassie went through. It doesn't bear thinking.
Well,
about.
this friend that was talking about them was saying that it was very tough for the other two, because Rob was so much stand on your feet sort of person, but wasn't with him and babied him. And I can understand that, because he was frightened of his mental health, you know,
I mean,
challenges.
One of the big mistakes anyone can make as a parent is you can overindulge the, you know, the dark, the twisted, the selfish, the self-serving, the potentially psychopathic, sociopathic tendencies, narcissistic tendencies.
My child had really bad mental health.
Yeah,
I love them all.
But one of the things that can actually make that even worse in terms of the child's behavior and attitude to people is everything you're doing to try and cater for them and look after them fuels a resentment. And that experience is one that can only be truly traumatic, where however much you try to give, whatever your brand of love and affection and devotion and support and open-heartedness, if there is a refusal to take that in, or if there is a desire to only see everything you say and do and offer to them as some kind of act of exclusion, or it's not this, or it's not that, or there's a judgment, or there's paranoia. And the problem with drugs, whenever drugs, and we're talking about split, this is where spliff is such a problem. When you have drugs, crystal meth looks like it was part of this story. When you have drugs, when you have anything that's involved in the behavior of someone with a mental health crisis, and often people with mental health issues turn to drugs because it silences it for a while and then suddenly it all explodes. You've got no rational judgment. Paranoia can kick in at a low level, at a high level, and paranoia is often the thing that kind of really fucking twists these relationships into pieces.
Nicola, as a parent of two autistic kids, in the groups I've attended, child violence toward a parent is very common. No help available either. I know. And that is a whole nother story, isn't it? The neurodiversity violence, where it really is just out of control. And Mark's made programs with, but you've made a doc, didn't you, with that? And of course, the kids had no idea what they were doing. But you're still taking violence.
We had to rescue a child.
Yeah, you're taking violence from somebody in your home, even if that child, because with the neurodiversity thing, it's something different, isn't it? They may not, they you know, for many, they just don't know what they're doing. So, but still scary.
Yeah.
I mean, so scary. And I was reading the sort of latest report, wasn't it, from the BBC? What was that you?
Yes, child violence against parents. When it's your kids hitting you, you can't leave. This was a piece in March of this year.
Yeah. You know, there's somebody here saying, you know, their child had them up against the bench with a knife at their throat. Really scary. And then, of course, you're scared to tell the police. And then I think there's another case there where family were talking about, I think it was an 11-year-old daughter that was, you know, raging and all of this. And the only advice that they were given was to just give her more leeway. But
it's so difficult.
It's so difficult.
And also, don't get me wrong. Look, abuse from a child towards a parent doesn't just have to be physical either. It can be verbal. It can be emotional. It can be psychological. It can manifest in so many different ways. Punishment, you know, cruelty. It's a many multifaceted sort. The child's kind of violence towards a parent. Which one do you want? This
Country
one?
Pumpkin.
Yeah, Country Pumpkin. My son is neurodivergent, and I fell over while carrying him yesterday. He looked at me like he wanted to kill me. He didn't understand it was an accident, and I was hurt too.
Oh God, how difficult and how lonely for you. Oh, that's really hard.
Farida, interesting point. Nick and Rob Reiner may not have experienced any physical violence up to this point. I've discovered that our internal language can be extremely violent, so maybe Nick experienced that. And if coupled with narcotics or a kind of, you know, outside agent, you know,
and you know, with mental health situations, it can start off that you are self-medicating with drugs, and for that there can be understanding and rehab. But this young chap that was talking from Hollywood, who's had a very similar life, he said, we're blessed. You know, my parents too paid for multiple rehabs. How lucky are we?
Well,
but at some point, whatever your parents are, you've got to take responsibility.
Exactly.
So he said, don't keep fucking just blaming his addiction and his mental health.
Yeah, there's understanding your origin story. There's talking about it. We've talked about mine in terms of my upbringing, etc., etc. But I remember there being a very obvious jump-off point where I think if there was a sort of strategy of sorts that could be a common strategy that might be useful for people who have resentful relationships with parents or difficult relationships, is there needs to come a point in your life where you address those issues. And when you address those issues, that is a moment where you seek to kind of name them, identify them, perhaps receive apologies, acknowledgement or not. But if you do or don't, however that plays out, you then have to step onwards. It doesn't mean you forget everything. You don't forget it because you need to understand it.
When are you
responsible? The blame game needs to stop. The blame game needs to stop at some point. It has to. Sophie Megan Barker, we have a close relative who's only 7. We've been walking on eggshells around him as long as I remember. Huge meltdowns. Bless him. Again, need more sort of help.
Unable to regulate. And again, people could say, oh my God, these parents, how are they letting them do that? But behind closed doors, you won't know how much they might be trying.
Wow, look at this. Ruby Andy, my adult brother has been violent towards our parents. It's got to a point this year where I've refused to see him over Christmas, as it always ends the same. God. He always talks of himself as a victim. Ruby, that's really tough.
That's the other thing, sibling violence. Very, very tough.
Yeah.
My God. Yeah. To live with that fear. Wow.
Okay. Well,
wow.
Thank you guys. I mean, obviously that's really resonating for everyone.
Yeah.
Just finally, as we kind of sign off, millions head home for Christmas on busiest day of festive getaway.
You're going to cheer us up with this?
No. What I'm going to do is send you down a horror wormhole. We used to watch this and be entertained by it.
It's roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Yuletide carols being sung by a choir. And folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know.
No, man. Strange. The 80s was a strange time.
It was, but also, can I just play you one other clip that I just want to show? It's a joke. It's funny. I miss this guy. This made me roar with laughter.
everyone's having a lovely morning. I've got one of my favourite people in the kitchen today, and it's Les. We like each other, don't we?
Yes, very much.
Tracy does too. Listen, we've got a fabulous recipe today, haven't we, Les?
It seems very good, yes.
Do you cook yourself?
Only if I fall in the oven. Thanks, love. Yeah. Can you keep that one in? Don't edit that laugh out. That was for the year, that.
No, I bought some things in today.
I'll show you.
We're both dames, actually, in pantomime. It's unusual. I'm at Hastings, though. You were at Hastings. I saw your picture there yesterday.
I've been to Hastings, but time is a great healer.
I don't know why. I just thought the way he said,
he's
"You're
so
great cook."
brilliant.
Yeah, when I fall in the oven.
You know what? I want to watch that at Christmas. Is there not
The Liz Dawson
a
comp.
DVD or something of all his best moments?
I've realised now more and more when I'm editing our content and looking at the comic shtick that we have. I mean, do check out our Vlogmas from last night. I think us wading through a field of mud is one of the most...
I'm glad you found it funny.
It's so fucking funny.
Supposed to be my
But
birthday weekend.
Hapless. We were hapless. And as we're sort of staggering through, and I just realised I channel a lot of Les Dawson, a lot of Eric Morecambe, and a lot of these 1970s comedians. I know, didn't he do? He did do Blankety Blank. He was excellent on Blankety Blank.
But you're very funny.
But he was great at doing
very funny. You can see the influence of it all. And Michael Barrymore.
Oh, God.
I've got to start following Michael Barrymore.
He follows
I love
me.
him. I know.
Yeah.
Apparently he just smokes spliffs all the time.
Does he? That's not good.
That's what somebody said to me. Are you following whether that's true or not, I don't know. Apparently he walks around smoking.
Does he?
I don't know. This is what I was told. It could be a lie.
Okay. Well, anyway, Les Dawson, fantastic. He used to do that thing where he'd play the piano out of tune, which is actually very hard, isn't it? He was the one who famously said, "I don't know my times tables, I just know the tune." Anyway, guys, hope that's tuned.
So don't forget
Members
Live tonight. Please hit the subscribe button, guys, if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed your time with us. And members, we'll see you tonight.
I was watching it just before this, mud platforms, and we were eating slow berries. They weren't blueberries.